There's a storm coming.
There were 30 people missing from this town the last 20 years.
From director and writer Jim Mickle comes his latest horror flick, We Are What We Are.
Jim, thank you for being here. Let's get right to it. This is your third horror movie. Yeah. What would you say makes this one different from the last two?
It's the most dramatic of the bunch. It's the, you know, I think along the way, I think getting a little bit more confident with being able to sort of break up the genre a little bit. Try to get away from just doing jump scares and boo scares and, you know, the typical sort of things.
Delaware County is now under a flood warning.
Daddy! Mama's gone.
Better place, he calls us.
There's a kind of like ethereal feel throughout the whole movie, which is unlike other horror films.
Yeah.
Do you think that violence can have a sort of poetic nature to
Yeah,
it?
absolutely. That was what we set out to do. It's made all the more creepier by making a beautiful film and sort of displaying elegance and fragility and all these things that you never see in horror movies.
The storm has washed some bones way down creek.
We need to stick together now.
So why cannibalism? What drew you into that?
I liked that it was something that you haven't seen a lot in horror film. Cannibalism, you know, it's taboo, it's really dark, and I think it brings to mind a very limited sort of corridor of what that could be for people.
You hungry, Doc? We have plenty. Thank you for the sustenance we receive.
How did you know that Bill Sage was going to be the perfect guy to play that role?
When I met him in person, I was a huge fan of his. I loved his work, you know. Every time I saw him, I was always surprised. I first saw him when I was 13 years old, and I just realized that maybe making movies is something I wanted to do forever. And here I'm working with the guy that sort of started that off, and now, you know, find myself a year later a part of a retrospective of his career, and it was almost this weird sort of full circle piece of my, you know.
He's on your IMDb now.
He's on IMDb. That's yes, it's in stone now.
We will carry on. We've kept our tradition in its purity. We do it the way that we've always done it.
What if we refuse to do it? He would make us, wouldn't he? I can't do this.
What do you want your audience to get out of this when they walk out of the theater?
I hope they keep thinking about it for a while. I hope it's not the typical movie that you come out and say like, well, that was cool, you know, so what do you want to eat, you know, and then we'll venture off and, you know, and talk about work.
What do you want to eat?
What do you want to eat?
Human remains.
Hopefully, you know, hopefully it kind of sticks with them. I really love when you hear people that are, you know, they get home and they're still thinking about it and they're not quite sure and they're still sort of digesting their feelings about the film.
Blessed are the Lamb, for they are his offering.
Amen.
Make sure you check out We Are What We Are. For KART-NEWS, I'm Erin Sitt.